Every dream and our heart was gone, headed for a shutdown. Bad dreamer, what's your name? Looks like we're riding on the same train. Looks as though there'll be no pain. It's gonna be a shutdown.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today is the day that I have been waiting for a long time. Guys, I'm more excited about this transmission right here than, I don't know, probably anything, maybe minus the On 3 kit when we put it on there. I'm just super excited about this. So if you guys missed it, I did an unboxing on this new TKX. So if you guys want to see it, kind of see how it's packaged and all that type stuff, go ahead, check this video out right here. But with all that being said, we're going to be installing this thing today. So let me go back over what we've got real quick. Like, by the way, I got Papa T here. We're going to throw this thing in here in just a minute. This thing's rated for about 600 foot-pounds of torque and possibly a little more. I don't know. They don't advertise that, but we're going to see. We don't know a lot about this thing, to be completely honest with you. Not many people have them. They've been on back order forever. Over here, we have our new TKO Tremec bell housing. Over here, we have our new clutch. Now, this clutch comes from Silver Sport. So I don't know really anything about it other than the fact that this should hold the horsepower pretty much the same as this transmission. So I can't really speak on that right this moment, but we are going to do a review on this thing, and I'll let you guys know what I think about that. New block plate over here. Nice flywheel. Guys, this thing is super heavy. I know flywheels are heavy, but this thing's super heavy. We got a new transmission mount, new yoke, all the nuts and bolts, all that type stuff, all of our fluids. Everything came from Silver Sport. So once again, huge shout out to Silver Sport. They're one of our sponsors. And although I did buy the transmission, they did cut me a really good deal on it. So if customer service is important to you, then Silver Sport is top notch, guys. And that's what it's all about, right? So right now what we're gonna do is go ahead and get started with the install. What we have in this car is a C4 transmission. We got our cooler lines up here. We got a nice aluminum drive shaft. We will have to swap the yoke out up here, so we're gonna do that. So when you start talking about swaps, people get nervous. They're like, oh man, that's a lot of stuff. It's really not, guys. If you got yourself an automatic, an AOD, or really any transmission, and you're going to something different, like one of these TKOs or whatever the case may be, a T56, all you got to do is get your old transmission out and just make sure you got all the parts that you need to put your new one in, and then drop it in, guys. It's not that big of a deal, I promise you. I even get a little nervous about it because I'm like, oh no, this is a swap. This is probably going to be aggravating, right? You know how I do it. I'm gonna shoot a time lapse for you guys, and if there's anything that I feel like I could help you guys out with, then we'll take a time out and we'll talk about it. Other than that though, let's go ahead and get this TKX in the Calypso.
Sure to get down, good Lord. Baby got 'em open all over town. Stick the bishop, don't play around. Cover much ground, got game by the pound. Getting paid is a forte, each and every day. True play away, can't get her out of my mind. Wow, think about the girl all the time. Now, east side to the west side, pushing fat rides.
All right, as you can see, we got the transmission out. This C4 is really not that bad to come out. I will say this though. Now we have solid motor mounts in the car, and as you can see, the engine pretty much just sits perfect by itself. Granted, you don't want to pull on your engine too hard, like pull on the transmission to try to tilt the engine, because you could in theory bend something. But these solid motor mounts, now what happens here is it really makes these top two bolts hard to get to. So that's something that we didn't really account for, but it come out pretty easy for the most part. Now there's a couple things I want to talk to you guys about. When you're doing a swap, there are like a few things that you do need to be mindful of. And for us, it was kind of one of those brain farts, if you will, where I started freaking out. You guys got to remember, this car is a stroker, so it's got an end balance like a 351 does, so that's a 28-ounce balance. Then I'm like, oh crap, is this thing balanced right? Because a 302 is a 50-ounce balance, and like I said, my engine is 28. And as you can see, I don't see anything back here that tells me if this is a 28 or not. But luckily, where's our stuff? Luckily, they send you a detailed list here of everything, and on the sheet it shows 28-ounce balance, so that's good. Something that I did not realize is this particular pressure plate doesn't have the lineup holes. Now, I've never seen that before, but Okay, well, one thing I do want to say is make sure that you clean everything really good. So this flywheel has got all types of like oils and debris and stuff like that on it. So we want to make sure that we go ahead and clean this thing off really good. And I just use brake cleaner. It's what I've always used. You guys may know something better, but never had any problems here at all. Don't use any sandpaper or anything like that. If you can help it, just spray this thing down good and wipe it. Get all the oils off. I do have to put a new pilot bearing in, so that should be pretty easy because this crankshaft has never had a pilot bearing in it. So we'll go ahead and get this pilot bearing tapped in, and we'll just use probably a big socket. I'll show you guys something about like that, just so that it goes around the outside edge. That one will be better suited there, and we'll tap that thing on in. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started putting this thing back in. I'm gonna start up a time lapse. See, I love time lapse because we can sit here, we can listen to music and all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of my way to hide from the camera and enjoy the install. So we're gonna go ahead and set you guys back up, and I'll see you once we get done.
Here we stand, worlds apart, hearts broken in two. Sleepless nights, losing ground, all reaching for you. Feel that it's gone, can change your mind.
So we have the bell housing on now. We've got a nice clutch in there. Everything's looking good. Everything lines up nice. New block plate. Hopefully this new block plate is going to allow our starter to not grind and make all those noises that it's been doing in the past, because the old block plate was all bent up and busted and everything else. So I think we're going to be good here. So as you can see, we got the shifter out. Now I'm going to have to get this plate that comes in and fixes all of this stuff, because all of this has been cut out. The floor of the car was cut out before I even got it, to make room for the automatic shifter and all. But LMR sells a plate that just lays over this, and then you just either tack weld it in, or weld it, or glue it, or rivet it, or whatever the case may be. We'll probably just rivet that new plate in. But anyway, we'll be doing that here pretty soon, because this is definitely going to let a lot of hot air and noise and everything else in. We did have to go get a cable. Now look, guys, I already know what everybody's going to say. You need to get a Maximum Motorsports, or whatever the case may be. This was what they had in stock, so I'll be ordering a new cable, but this will get us by for a while. Now if you don't know, you're gonna have to pull all of this stuff right here off. Now they used to have to cut those things off, but now they just pull off, so that it'll go through the adjustable quadrant up there on the firewall. So just take that off, no problem. We're gonna push this thing down, hook it up. Guys, we're in a short rows now. Well, what you think about having a tubular K-member, Papa T?
It's awesome.
You like that?
I want one.
Yeah. Guys, look at, I want you to look at this. He's on the top bolt here with a ratchet. If that right there is not reason enough alone to buy a K-member,
Man.
look at all this room right here. Seriously. So we did get the new yoke on, just pretty easy. Same universal joints, so you don't need a bastard joint or anything like that. If your universal joints are already good, which these were, just go ahead and pop that thing off and pop the new one on. I always try to help you guys. Now, most of you that watch my channel, you already know how to work on your cars, but there are a lot of younger guys or people just now getting into these cars that want that thirst for knowledge, right? So that's why I try to take the time to come out here and explain things to you. But honestly, I can't really think of anything to help you with one of these swaps. I mean, just make sure you got the right parts. That's the biggest thing. If you got all the right parts, guys, it just bolts on. It's just, think of it like Legos. We're gonna go ahead and pop this transmission in, so I'll go ahead and show you guys that. I'll just leave the camera running. Forward here. We're recording. All right, guys, I'm sorry, my GoPro died, so I'm putting you on my cell phone. There's not much to see here. This is a pretty awkward situation. But this transmission is really heavy, by the way, just so you guys know. It's not light, so you just want to be careful. Now, me and my dad could absolutely get this thing up here, but best to just be safe if you can. On the fun part, yeah. I need to get where I can pick up the front end of it. Yeah. Somehow or another. Let me get up in here like this. All right. All right, you ready? Yep. So it at least splined up. We're gonna wiggle this thing around a little bit. And but that's it, it's in there. As of right now, I don't see any problems. Everything looks really, really good. So I'm gonna turn the camera off. We're just gonna finish up these little details. I'll charge the GoPro up in a few minutes and then show you guys what we got. Stay tuned. Somebody had mentioned about the cross member not being the same or something. I can't remember what it was. And whoever said that was right. So this particular cross member will not work. So what we had to do was we took the cross member, and this is the way, where's that piece at? We got it right here. Yeah. So this is the way this would have sat, like this. Okay. That looks more correct, right? Yep. Well, with that, as you can see, nothing lines up right. This transmission's just built differently. So what we did was we just cut this off, and now what we're gonna do is come in, stick it on this side, and re-weld it so that everything matches up. This is something that I chose to do. I don't know if you guys will or not, but I need this car off the lift because we're always doing something. This will work perfectly. We'll go ahead and weld it up. And hey, you know what? We can always order another one later, right? So we're not hurting anything. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started with this. This is what we've come up with here. Got everything tightened up. We should be good. So we're just gonna start putting some tack welds in here. And we're gonna pull this down, take it over there, clean it all up good, and finish welding it up. But this should be fine. And hey, you know, the good thing about this is it's custom. So this is a custom setup, and I mean, you can't go wrong with something like that. Now this transmission looks like it's got a severe angle to it, but if you look up here, we're already at the top of the car. So there's not much we can really do here. I don't know why it's like that, but it just is what it is. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and weld this up, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. All right, that should hold it. We're just gonna go ahead and pull everything off, and I'm gonna take it over here and weld it up. We got everything bolted up. We got the exhaust on, we got the drive shaft in, and we just put fluid in the transmission. And we just went ahead and went with the regular automatic transmission fluid. Somebody had mentioned it and I hadn't even thought of it. We're gonna break it in with that, and then we'll come back later on and put the synchro mesh and everything in it. We do have to put the clutch cable in, but this thing, okay. Transmission fluid from where I pulled the hose out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything looks good. Hopefully our starter will sound a little bit better now. But here's the transmission mount after we got everything welded up. It's got a real nice fat bead across the top up there. I don't know if I even showed you guys that, but anyway, everything's welded up. This is the best this cross member has ever fit now, because I mean, it's all custom. Everything fits exactly the way it should, so it just goes right in. But
so in the last video where I was welding up the exhaust, I just wanted to show y'all my welds right there.
Is that your welds?
Yep, that's my welds.
You did a really good job.
I appreciate it. I try my hardest.
All right, let's go ahead and get this car down, and I'll pop the clutch cable in it, get all that done, and then we'll start this thing up. So I'll pick back up with you guys after we start it up. Action. All right, here we go. This would be our first start up. After we finally figured out that Andrew had left the clutch pedal buried under the carpet.
No, he left the clutch pedal buried under the carpet.
You were under the dash.
I was the one under the car.
All right, so we don't have a shifter handle, but car is in neutral. I'll do my best to put it in first and second and make sure everything works, but this is it, guys. Let's see how it works. Oh yeah, by the way, clutch pedal feels great. It honestly feels a little stiffer than stock. Starter sounds a lot better too. good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. We got to get a shifter handle. We've let all the shifter handles go, so I'll go out and take the shifter handle out of Papa T's car tonight, put it in here, button up the interior, and we'll go drive this thing in the next video. Guys, big shout out to Silver Sport as always. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and as always, thanks for watching.